All right, guys, if you've been in the drone space for the past couple years, you know that this is probably one of the most popular drones, both for the consumer and prosumer flyers out there. This is the DJI AIR 2S. And the main reason why it was so popular is because it did sit right in between the Mini lineup and the Mavic 3 lineup, and it provided you extremely high quality videos and photos, as well as this rugged build and obstacle avoidance. And we finally get an update to the AIR 2S. This is the new DJI AIR 3. And in my opinion, even though it's called the AIR 3, I'm kind of more leaning towards it being like a Mavic 3 Mini, mainly because a lot of the form factor on the new AIR 3 is taken from the Mavic 3. The shape of the body, the design. We also have now 360 obstacle avoidance, very similar vision camera sensors that we have on the Mavic 3. And definitely one of the coolest features that the Mavic 3 Pro offered, we actually have that now on the AIR 3, and that is a dual lens system here, a dual camera system with a 24mm equivalent main camera, the wide camera, as well as a secondary camera that shoots at 70mm. If you guys have seen my videos on the Mavic 3 Pro, you know that 3x zoom, that 70mm range for video is so useful, mainly because you just get a different type of compression, a different type of depth of field and parallax movement when you're shooting with a longer lens. I'm gonna have separate videos and going in more depth on a lot of the features, as well as video comparisons with these drones right here. So if you guys don't wanna miss any of those videos, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. So I've been flying the AIR 3 for the past couple weeks now, and as a drone enthusiast, if you already have some of these drones, it's exciting, but it's also kind of frustrating because they really did pull like a lot of the main features from all these drones, and they wrapped it up into this one right here. And to be honest, when I saw the specs of the AIR 3, I was like, wait, how does that work? We have a dual 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor, which is the same sensor size as the Mini 3 Pro, and it's actually like a hair smaller than the 1-inch sensor on the AIR 2S. I'm like, wouldn't you want to go bigger sensor? And how does that really make sense? Then I started looking at the specs a little bit deeper, as well as, of course, doing a side-by-side comparison to see how much of an image quality difference there is. And DJI did put a dual camera 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor, but it's not just that, it is a stacked sensor. So with that larger aperture, you're able to now bring in a lot more light in those low light scenarios. And that stacked sensor here on this camera also helps with readout speeds as well as rolling shutter. Now, when it came to video resolution, we actually have a little bit higher here on the AIR 2S, 5.4K up to 30 frames a second. And here on the AIR 3, we are at 4K 60 frames a second. However, you are able to shoot in HDR mode at 4K 60. But what's great about this one is that you also don't have any field of view change at 4K 60. It does not crop in like it did here when you switch those settings out on the AIR 2S. When it comes down to picture profiles, what's really good is that both cameras do have 10-bit D-Log-M, as well as HLG video recording. Now, when I talked earlier about taking some of the best features from the other drones, for instance, here we have the Mini 3 Pro, and one of the standout features of this drone is vertical shooting, where you're able to turn that horizontal camera, turn it in the app, and it'll then rotate it to shoot in vertical mode. This is definitely one of the advantages with the Mini 3 lineup, but what DJI did here is that instead of actually rotating the camera like we did on the Mini, give us now the option to shoot in 2.7, and what it does, it automatically crops it in through the app and outputs it into a vertical shot. And I was kind of confused on how this actually worked, but basically what it is it's taking a 2.7 video, and you can actually see it in the settings on your remote control. You actually just swipe over your resolution, move it over to 2.7, and it'll say 2.7 9:16 aspect ratio. And now what that does is it grays out the sides and shows you exactly what that vertical format is going to look like out of camera. And then once you're done shooting, you now have a 2.7K video file that's in vertical format without having to rotate the camera. Now, one thing I did see that was missing on there is that, for instance, if you wanted to shoot 2.7 in horizontal or 16:9 format, that option wasn't available. When it comes down to slow motion, the Air 2S was able to shoot at 120 frames a second, only at 1080p. Now here on the Air 3, we now have 4K up to 100 frames a second, as well as 1080p up to 200 frames a second. And for a lot of you that like to fly for photography first settings, which is exactly what I like to do, of course we have the standard JPEG and RAW, and a nice bump up to 48 megapixels compared to 20 megapixels on the Air 2S. We of course have all these standard photo modes like single shot, burst shooting, as well as auto exposure bracketing and time shots. And for those of you that are familiar with my channel, you guys know I like to shoot a lot of panoramic photos, and we have a huge bump up in resolution, 13,000 by 6,500 pixel resolution when now shooting with the Air 3 in panoramic mode. What's nice is that with Hyperlapse, you can actually still use the standard 4K or 2.7 in vertical format, but all the Hyperlapse modes works the same way. You can do Hyperlapse in free mode, course lock, circle, as well as waypoint. Now, while all those camera spec updates are impressive, it does not stop there. That's kind of like only halfway through. As you can see here, we have omnidirectional sensing with these dual fisheye camera vision sensors here on the very front. We have two on the front that of course are with fisheye, you're basically capturing all of that information on this side, as well as here, as well as above. And you have two here on the rear, and of course your landing and takeoff sensors here at the very bottom. If you were to compare that with some of the other drones or smaller drones on the market, this is the first drone, the smallest drone that DJI has now offered with omnidirectional sensing. On the Air 2S, we did have the front sensors as well as the ones that kind of point up and over. We had rear, but we did not have anything on the side. And with those new sensors, we do have an updated APAS or Advanced Pilot Assistance System 5.0, which helps you bypass obstacles, especially when you're using something like return to home. And just like these other drones here, those sensing systems allow us to have focus track, which is a combination of active track 5.0, which is the follow me function, and you do have multi-directional follow me function options on the Air 3. Hit go. All right, so we are going to start active tracks coming from behind, and there's a little sign that says that active track works mostly for slower objects. So let's see how it does with a bike. All right, here we go. Let's start from behind. And I do like the fact that they added the feature that you can change it. You can change the direction now. So as you can see here, I'm coming up around this little bank here on the left, and it is going to be going up the hill. So what I want to do now is, instead of coming from behind, I'm going to press the switch here, and I want it to follow me from the left side. And as you can see, the drone is slowly working its way over to the left. And what's nice is that if you look at the very top, you'll notice that I still do have my obstacle avoidance, which is good. There we go. Now, if I wanted to follow me from the front, click there again. Let's go to the front. Test out a little reverse obstacle avoidance here and see how that goes. Ooh, look at that bird. Ooh, look at that bird. Ooh, is that an eagle? That's awesome. Oh, they dodged that tree right there, as you guys can see. So it came around, obstacle avoidance did turn on. Oh my gosh, dude. It's dive bombing my drone. Look at it. The eagle's dive bombing my drone. We have Spotlight 2.0, and that's definitely one of my favorite features on these drones in general. And the one thing that's really good that DJI did now, which they weren't able to do on some of the previous drones, is you're now able to use those intelligent flight modes while using a picture profile like D-Log-M. And another update is that you're also able to use both cameras, the wide or the tele, in D-Log-M, and also use it with something like Spotlight. And like I mentioned earlier, Spotlight mode is probably my favorite intelligent flight mode, mainly because all you have to do is circle a subject that you want to track. And what's great about Spotlight is that once the subject is locked on, you can actually pilot the drone whichever way you want, and the camera will automatically keep that subject in the middle of the frame. You don't have to worry about trying to adjust the camera angle here or worry about tilting it and also turning the drone. Once it's locked on there, you just have to pilot the drone, whether it's closer, further, go left to right, and the drone and the camera will automatically turn and tilt to keep that subject right in the middle of your frame. When I was out there tracking a car, the one feature I really like, throw it into sport mode. That way you're able to go a lot faster. However, just note that when you are in sport mode, the obstacle avoidance will be turned off. So just know your surroundings. But once you throw it into sport mode, you're able to go a lot faster and the active track will still work in that spotlight mode. And we have point of interest, or POI 3.0. So if you want to select a subject, a building, a person, an item, you're able to select it and then perform these circle maneuvers around that object. And the next huge update we have is this right here, the new DJI RC2. This is the original RC that came out a couple years ago. And of course, this is the RC Pro, the one that you would fly with something like the Mavic 3 lineup. And once again, just like the drones, DJI is now combining some of the main features from the remote controls into this one. And for those drone operators that have flown with the RC Pro, you'll probably vouch for saying that this is probably the best remote control that you can use as far as transmission goes between, you know, your remote control and the drone. You have really, really solid connection here. Now with the DJI RC, while this is very light, very easy to use, it did not have the same, I would say, penetration that the DJI RC Pro had. Here we have kind of that in-between stage. We have something that's light, nimble, built-in screen, but now they brought back the antennas for us to have even stronger reception. The antennas was something we have here, and now with this update, we are now able to get 20 kilometers in range versus 12 kilometers that you were able to get with some of the previous models. So I am all for increasing the ability to have that distance, not knowing I'm not going to use it that far, but if they are improving that, then you know that the shorter distances are also improving. When looking at the build of the remote controls, they look very similar. The only difference here is on the back. It is a little bit more beefed up, of course, to accommodate for the actual antennas. But the one thing that was changed, and the reason why we're able to get a little bit more distance, is that we do have 6 antenna system now, compared to 4 antenna system that we had on the previous models. Now, when it comes to flight time of the new Air 3, we have a huge jump as far as flight time goes, as well as battery upgrades compared to the Air 2S. The flight time on the Air 2S was rated for about 31 minutes or so. You'll probably get a good solid 20 minutes out of the Air 2S. We have a 3750 milliamp battery. And here on the Air 3, we now have a 4241 milliamp battery rated for up to 46 minutes of flight time. You're easily able to get over 35 minutes or so, 35 minutes of flight time. And once you're pushing those 30-minute flight time ranges, I mean, you're out there for a very long time. On the Air 2S, we had this top loading battery. So you just drop it here on top and then press down. And here on the Air 3, we now have that rear load, just like we have on the Mavic 3. So you have the 2 clips on the side, pop it right here in the very back, slots right in. And if you get something like the Fly More combo, which is something I normally always recommend, this holder in this case is really, really nice. This thing blows away all of their other charging hubs that they previously had, especially for the Air 2S. That hub is like the worst one. You would move it, you'd put all your batteries in, and just pick it up and move it, and everything just kind of falls apart. So right here on the very side, you just plug in a USB power, and you can hear how it snaps right into place. Does not go anywhere. They're fully locked, and the way to release it here, tabs at the very bottom, you have to press to pull out the battery. So nice and solid. All right, so I just got done flying, and if you guys have picked up this one right here, the battery charging hub, and you can use this as an external battery bank. So it has a USB-C port here on the side, so you can charge up your phone, charge up your remote control while you're in transit. But something even better than that, as you can see, I will normally fly my drones until about 20%, 30% remaining on the battery. So as you can see on this one right here, I have about 3.5 bars. Middle one, I have 1 bar. Last one, 2.5 bars. So all these have about, you know, anywhere between 20% all the way up to maybe 30 or 40% left on them. And you don't want to normally go out there with like a 40% battery. But what's really cool with this one right here is that if you power it on and then press and hold it, there you go, it turns green. Now what it does is it takes the power from some of the lower capacity batteries, the ones that have the least amount of power, and puts that power, transfer that power over to the one with the most power. So the one that I did have right now, which was about 3.5 bars, it's gonna take the power from these and start filling it up. That way you can get out there and fly again with hopefully a more full or higher capacity battery instead of trying to go out there with another 40% battery or 30% battery. All that will be transferred over here, so then ideally you can get out there and fly one more time with a full battery. One new feature I really like on the Air 3 that we don't have on any of the other drones is that we do have a faster ascend and descend at 10 meters per second. Now when it comes to intelligent flight features, we have all the ones you would expect to have on these DJI drones. We do have quick shots, which is pretty much a staple now on all drones. It allows you to easily, just at a press of a button, do something like a droney, do a circle, do things like a rocket where it goes above your subject, helix. Also, we have master shots, which is kind of like a hybrid. It's like a combination of all the quick shots, but it does it automatically, as well as it also puts it in a separate file, all edited together. You can also put it to music or anything like that. And a couple of ones that have been kind of grown to be my favorite, which is cruise control as well as waypoints. With cruise control, what I really like is that if you're flying, say, the drone forward and you're flying it at a little bit of an angle and it's also rising, once you set all those on your sticks, all you do is hit the button for cruise control, and now the drone will continue making those moves, and you don't have to have any more inputs as far as the stick inputs anymore. It'll automatically keep that and keep moving in that direction, as well as waypoints. So if you wanted to map out your flight and you wanted to save all of those locations, camera angles, camera movements, as well as position of the drone in the air, you're able to set all of those waypoints and then save it and repeat them multiple times. So if you wanted to do something like a day to night type of shot, overlay those and it'll kind of show you the transition. You're able to do those with waypoints. And now with the ability to have vision or optical sensing here on the side, it does make it a lot more comfortable when you're out there performing any movements that have to go side to side, any quick shots, any intelligent modes that have that left to right movement. That's where I think the majority of people end up crashing their drone, is that they'll put it up in the air, they'll put it into one of the automated modes, and all of a sudden here it goes right into a tree or a side of a building. Let's see how this thing reacts. Look at that. Look at that. It goes around it. Yes, going backwards. Sorry, I had to brake because I was actually slowing down. But the drone actually hit the brakes, moving back. Oh, it just dodged this one too. Wow. Quick shot modes in vertical mode, in vertical format. Oh, look at that. Side obstacle sensing works right there. Look at that, right where the tree is. And the drone stopped. With those new sensors, we do have that left to right now obstacle avoidance, but I would still recommend, if you guys aren't familiar with it, look into the DJI Refresh program, because even though we have these sensors, you never want to always rely on obstacle avoidance sensors always working. There's always going to be the outliers. You're hitting a cable, hitting a branch, that it just might not see. So having something like Refresh, which is in a way DJI's kind of like extended warranty or expanded warranty. So if anything happens to your drone, for a very small fee, you're able to get it fixed, get it replaced. Now, when it comes to storage, there is 8 gigs internal storage on the Air 3. Again, I don't know how many times I'm talking about this. Why 8 gigs? I feel like it needs to be a lot more than that. Yes, memory cards are easy to put in and out, but I mean, if you're gonna offer internal, please make it 32 gigs, 64 gigs, just something more usable than 8 gigs. And plus some of it that's being used by the system. But what I really like about this, which again, they've taken from the Mavic 3, is you are able to plug in USB on the bottom here, and it will automatically charge the battery up through the drone. Something that you can't do on the Air 2S. It is something you can do here on the Minis as well as the Mavic 3. And if you're in the field and you wanted to quickly transfer files from your drone to your mobile device, it does have that quick transfer option, similar to what we have here on these. Now, when it comes to weight of these drones, of course, nothing beats this one right here, the Mini 3 or Mini 3 lineup in general. And these all sit under that 250 gram mark if you have the lower capacity battery. So this one right here, this is the Mini 3 Pro. This one comes in at 248 grams. Air 2S, toss that on there, and we have approximately 592 grams. Now, the new Air 3, drop that around the top, 722 grams. Jumping over here to the Mavic 3 Pro, 936 grams. All right, so let's talk about price. When it comes down to the DJI Air 3, the most affordable package you'll be able to get would be this setup right here, which is the DJI Air 3 and the RCN2. Now the RCN2 is the one without the screen, so you're gonna need to hook up your mobile phone, your mobile device here at the very top in order for you to do all your controls, see all of your video from the Air. So this is the RCN2 remote control with the Air 3, and this one comes in at $1,099, $1,099 USD. Now, if you wanted to stick with the RCN2, but you want a little bit more, you can get the Fly More combo. That comes with the bag, comes with 2 extra batteries, the battery hub. Highly recommend getting the Fly More combo whenever you get these drones, mainly because you just want to be able to stay up there, fly a lot longer. You're always going to need to pick up 1 or 2 extra batteries anyways. Just makes it simple because they also include things like extra cables, propellers, ND filters for the drone. So if you're looking at getting the Fly More combo with the RCN2 remote control, that comes in at $1,349. Now, for those that want to step up to this one right here, the DJI RC, I really like this remote control, especially with the upgraded antennas. This is the DJI RC2. Same thing, you're able to get that with the DJI AIR 3, but they don't have this package separately, just these two. It only comes, as of right now, with the Fly More combo. So you're gonna get the AIR 3, you're gonna get the DJI RC2, as well as the Fly More combo, which is the bag, the extra accessories, filters, extra batteries, battery hub. That comes in at $1,549. Now, my overall thoughts of the Air 3, like I mentioned in the very beginning of the video, it is so good because they took all of these features from all these drones and kind of smashed it into this one right here. I'm gonna have a lot more in-depth videos doing full comparisons directly with these drones right here. What is the difference? Do I need to upgrade from the Air 2S to the Air 3? Is the Air 3 a good update from the mini lineup? Why would I now get the Mavic 3 lineup or Mavic 3 Pro if I can just get stuff like the Air 3? I'm gonna have full separate comparison videos on those questions. So if you guys wanna see those, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Hopefully you guys got some value from this video of me flying with the Air 3 for the past couple weeks. And if you did, a big like would be much appreciated. This is Ultra Stasio with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.